All right, so hey everyone, and welcome to yet another Inner Circle call, weekly Inner Circle call. So hi Harshvardhan, Lola, Rajiv. I see Rajiv twice. I'm not sure. We have Sharat, we have Shankar. So hey everyone, and welcome to yet another Inner Circle call. I just have a brief agenda for today, and if Pradeep shows up, he might want to talk about teamworks because that's what we talked about last week. So we're going to give opportunity to people of this community to come and present about new things, right? So if you know about certain things, you can come and present here as well, and we would definitely offer you that platform and opportunity here. So for everyone, right? So welcome here. And as far as announcements for this week are concerned, I just have a brief set of announcements. So one is by the time we are speaking right now, the recording for the containerized mission, I mean, there's an ad here, but there is a recording for the containerized mission is been published by now, and I would share it on our platform. Apart from that, if you look at the containerized mission here, the challenge details, this has been published along with the project. So you have to go through the prerequisite that was published earlier, attend in the masterclass. If you click on this, it will take you to that recording as well. And then we have a couple of projects here. A couple of projects for two different applications. One is that catalog application. Second is the I need to sign in. First is for catalog application. Second is for the voting application or the review application, as you call it, right? And if you look at the application themselves, we have these two that you are going to take up as let's say the project work, which is front end. We talked about it. Recommendation, we talked about. This is the Node.js application. This is the Golang application. We have two left. One is a catalog application. This uses Python. So all the details are given to you. So you have to use Python. Build tool is like installation tool is pip. And this is the command that you use for, basically in this case, you just have to install the dependencies. The application opens up on 5000 port, and this is how you launch the application. So if you have this much of information, you should be able to build it. You should be able to create a Docker file for it. And same with the voting or the reviews service, which is created with Spring Boot, uses Maven as a build tool. And this is the build command. This is the port. Runtime is this. So if you use a Docker image with Maven, it comes with OpenJDK. If you don't have that, you can, if you want to use a multi-stage Docker file, for example, just pick up an image for OpenJDK and run it with this, and that should do the work, right? And try to use a multi-stage Docker file. We've talked about that concept already, and that's what I would like to really see. And if you have created the Docker files, I would like to review them during the next class. Anyone has created the Docker files for these applications? If yes, we can review it today. If not, most likely we'll take up the review for the next week. So next week we will review the Docker files that you have written. And if you want any feedback, if you want any suggestions, we'll review it together and we'll try to, let's say, optimize it if necessary, and give you the suggestions, etc. And after that, you have to complete two quizzes. The quizzes, one is on building the container image, one is on the advanced concept. The advanced concept also takes you through a slightly additional content also, like creating registries and stuff like that. So there is a chapter about advanced image building. You may want to go through that if you have time, and that would give you that additional understanding of how to go about it, right? And the next week preparatory work for you is to complete the Git Essentials course. So we have this Git Essentials course, and that is what I want you to go through as a preparatory work for the next one. And it's the Git Essentials, which is SFD 107. And this course, simple course, just talks about how to start creating workflows with Git. It's not about revision control so much, but it is about once you know about the basic revision control, right? How do you go about creating repositories, forking it, cloning it, committing some code, branching and merging, concept of pull request, using pull request to merge changes and stuff like that, right? So that is the idea here. And that's what I want you to go through, understand tagging, versioning, trunk-based development model and stuff like that, right? If you go and prepare about this, I mean, next week's session is going to be a little shorter also, because we're just going to talk about Git, not too much that we are going to implement, not too much of learning. So you have like a 1 week to breathe as well. If you have completed, or if you have some pending work, you can complete it that time as well. So that's the preparatory work. If you want to prepare before the session, just go through the Git essentials. That's what I wanted to talk about here. Now, is Pradeep there? Probably not. I don't see him. Okay. So apart from this, I wanted to reserve some time from Pradeep, but apart from that, I had given you kind of a project or something to work on. Last week, I talked about SSH config, and that time I had mentioned about this kind of a scenario. So this was a challenge given to you where, let's say this is a AWS VPC. This is the network segment. VPC is a network that you create with AWS. This is the network segment. This is a publicly exposed network subnet. We have subnets. There is a subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, subnet 4. And let's suppose that you're on a workstation at your home and you have a EC2 instance which is public, and there is another EC2 instance which is private. You cannot connect you can connect from here to this instance, but you cannot connect to this one. That's not possible. So how do you get, or is it possible, and how do you get from here to connect to this server without sharing your private keys rather? Public keys you share anyways. Public key will be here, public key will be here. Let's say there are two different public keys also. And so key pairs, meaning different public keys, and respectively, there will be two private keys here also. So all the private keys remain here, and you want to basically establish a SSH connection without leaving your machine. The private key should basically remain on the same server. And I had asked you to configure it in a way that you are able to connect to the host, which is in a private network. Let me just show you an example of that. I have the same setup here. One instance, which is, let's call it as public, right? And another instance, which is in private network. You can see that this is a public server with a IP address. It belongs to a subnet, which you can see here is a public subnet. How do you identify subnet being a public? Is by its route table. And in this route table, you see a route going out to everywhere with an internet gateway. We will come to AWS. We'll talk about this a little bit, but that's something you should know about. So that this is public, this is private. When I say private, what does it mean? What this means is, if I look at the route table for this one now, so I'm going to go to the subnet it belongs to. So this has been created in a subnet, which is private. How do I know? I go to the private subnet, look at the route table. I see only the local route, meaning it cannot connect to outside. No one can directly talk to this server. Public subnet, this is possible. From here, this connection is possible, right? That's how it is. This will work. So there are two options here. Either you configure it in a way that this becomes your first subnet or a hop, and then you take a second hop and get to here. But then if in this case, you will have to keep your private key here. You don't want to share that. So how can you establish a connection directly to this is what my question was. Has anyone found an answer to that? Anyone found an answer to get here? It goes by SSH config, the answer is. And it's not very complicated, to be honest. So what you do is you set up this connection first. let's say you have this to this connection, sure. And that I can show you here, right? So this one, the one you see in the bottom, it's very simple. So you just provide the IP address, public IP, host name, the username, and the private key that you want to connect to that. And then once you have this, what SSH can do is there is something called as a proxy command or a proxy passing of sorts. And this is the configuration where I have defined the IP address of this particular instance. So you can see that this is a instance in the private subnet whose IP address is ending 32, 104.32. And it's the same configuration here. I'm connecting to that using this user. It's a username is also different. The private key is also different, but all of that is possible. The important configuration here is this proxy command. And this proxy command is the one which basically is going to connect or forward everything that it is receiving to this one. So it is basically setting up some sort of a proxy. And through this, what happens is uh, once I have this configuration, otherwise this would have been impossible. I can only do this, I can just say SHPV and it lands up on my private server, right? All the private keys, everything remains here. It had just created some sort of a proxy configuration, SSH proxy that is, onto my server here, the first server, and it has established a sort of a connection here. And through that proxy, I am able to connect to this server, right? And this is a very interesting way of connecting to instances or like servers within your private network without establishing a VPN connection. That is important because otherwise you'll have to achieve this, you'll have to do some sort of a VPN. Here we just say proxy command SSH -w, and this goes and configures everything for you and gets you inside that particular server, right? It's quite interesting way of configuring this, right? So that's what I just wanted to explain to you. Any questions on this, basically? All right. So that's it. So from my side, that's all I had for today. Um, Also, okay, so just so that we are here, something that I've been reading about is, let's say we have a lot of AI tools these days. And for AI, I mean, there's a lot of machine learning which is happening. So if you want to make a career in the form in that direction, what are the tools that you probably need to look at and so on? That is what I was actually looking at today. Just reading through certain things, right, that I came across. So I'm just going to talk about a few tools from a AI ML ops perspective. And Gemini is more of a Google stuff, but three different things that we will talk about. And I'm just going to talk about it very briefly. So AI ops or ML ops, if you want to become that or want to explore that kind of a career as well. So basically, there is a platform called as Kubeflow. Sets up the machine learning components on Kubernetes, basically. And these either integrate with Kubernetes or are native to Kubernetes. Again, I've been emphasizing on this that Kubernetes is not just a way to run containers at scale. It is the next big platform on which everything else will happen. That point of view, Kubernetes is the tool that you must know about in 2024 for sure, and master it really. Just not know it, but master it. Because once you know about Kubernetes, only then everything else will make sense. For example, if you want to set up Kubeflow on top of Kubernetes, you need to first know about Kubernetes, and then you add these components like pipelines. This is basically some machine learning workflows that you can set up here, notebooks. Again, I am also yet to explore each of this component, but we have Kubeflow, which is like a set of components that it comes with, including pipelines. There's something called as a notebook. There is a dashboard that you have. There is some, machine learning component here. There's some model training because you have to train these models on the information, the knowledge, the data sets that we have. For example, if you want answers in a certain way, based on your own database or a knowledge base, you can train a model on that, and then it can start, providing answers relevant to that and, related to that. So we have this model serving, model training, and stuff like that. And Kubeflow is one tool which is quite popular. There is another thing which is called as a feast. Again, this is open source feature store for production ML. Again, I have not seen what this means, but I'm just reading through this as well. But I just wanted to share these with you as well, that there are a lot of new tools which are coming in this space. There is something called as a Llama for open source. I believe this is the Meta thing, or something where you can train your own with your own data set. There's an open source version of this as well. Meta has this Llama 3 as well, and everyone has. Google has their own model. GPT is there, and then we have something called as Opus 3 or something like that as well. So there are many different things which are coming in there. And all of these, there is another thing called as a ML flow, which is more about running, creating your machine learning, because ultimately artificial intelligence is generated by making the machines learn and keep on training the machines to get better and better and better. And that is where these models come in. So if you want to start making a career towards AI, because AI is going to grow. So if you're afraid of, oh, AI, will I lose my job with AI? If you're building these things, you will always be there to create, to build this model, because someone has to, do these things, right? Someone has to build the models. Someone has to work on these technologies. Someone has to make it scale. Someone has to know how to make it work and optimize on a kind of a GPU intensive instances and stuff like that, right? So that is the knowledge base you can start building. So you can always be on the right side of technology, and that way you are growing, you will be in demand, and you will always be there to support these technologies. So you transform into whatever is coming in. You need to keep track of those things, and whatever comes in, you start building your knowledge on top of that. And if you think that it's going to get too overwhelming to learn these things, it's get better and better as you learn more stuff, right? So you have to get into that continuous learning mode, so that you can do compounding learning. Because if you get started, there is too much to learn. But if you have learned four technologies, learning the fifth gets simpler. So it's like compounding investment, right? Making your first million is always the toughest one, but going from 1 million to like 2 million to 3 million, it gets easier and easier. And when you're at like 9 million, making that 1 million is like just out of your like interest and income as well. So it gets easier and easier. It's the same thing applies here. Even your knowledge base, growing that is compounding. So once you have built a platform, and let's say if you tell me that go and learn about this, maybe I'll spend 2 weeks, and easily I should be able to master most of these things and be able to figure out what it is doing, implement it, and all that. Because if I have the knowledge on Kubernetes, maybe something like Istio, something like of course Docker and all that, because Docker is the foundation. And if I know about a few other things, it's gonna get easier and easier and easier. That's how things work. So that's why it is important to get into that continuous learning mode and keep adopting yourself to the changing dynamics in the technology world here. So this is also something, if you want to just make your career as a fail-proof thing, if you're afraid of AI and losing jobs because of AI, get on the right side of AI, become the ML ops, AI ops, and you're kind of saving. You will be in demand rather, because anyone who knows about these technologies in and out, they are definitely in demand right now and will remain so. And we have this direction that you can take. You can take the direction of the SREs, and so on. Again, Kubernetes becomes the foundational technology for any of these things. So common thread is going to remain that way. Kubernetes will become the platform. That is very clear. Everything else will sit on top of Kubernetes. So if you haven't started with Kubernetes, get started, and then you take things at your own pace after that. and start learning maybe, or pick one direction and start going in that direction. There is a DevOps, there is DevSecOps, there is MLOps, SRE. There's so many things where the opportunities are growing and opening. So you can't just be even a DevOps anymore. You have to keep going to the next level and the next level. So it's always all because earlier we were ops. Before that we were admins. Then we became operations people. Then we became DevOps, cloud engineers, DevOps, and now with the next generation, it would go towards the more like DevSecOps and MLOps or SREs and so on. So it's moving in that direction. So just keep track of that milestone by milestone. Just keep on going there. At some point of time, I would like to build, courses on these things, and I'm starting to kind of explore these things and learn about it and all that. And eventually, I'll get into creating the courses as well. So, but for now, my priorities are to help you with the 90-day challenge, refresh all the course content, make sure the platform, all the issues that we have, uh, we figure it out and fix it. And everything currently available, the content has to go through a refresh, and then I'll take the next direction for myself as a goal. All right, so that's that. Um, and that's all I wanted to talk about for this week. Any questions, anything else, folks, that you have for me?
Hi Gaurav, this is Shankar.
Hi, Shankar.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Actually, I recently subscribed to School of DevOps.
Awesome.
I
Okay.
just want to know from where I need to start,
Okay. So
and
Shankar,
I'm fully new for DevOps.
would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, I'm Shankar. I have 10 years of experience in testing world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an automation tester.
Okay.
Senior automation tester. So
Got it.
I'm uh, I'm currently working in CBA, Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to, learn and switch to DevOps side.
Sure.
So I have some technical knowledge. I know C Sharp and Java, but
Mm-hmm.
this DevOps is growing up, right? So I thought of
Sure.
moving to DevOps side. Even my company is, asking
Absolutely.
people to work on learn DevOps. So
Sure.
so
I
I
believe you
I
had sent
I
me an
got your
email as well,
details.
right? About this.
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
yes.
Perfect. So good that you're here. And Shankar, welcome to this community. And
Thank you.
what I would suggest is right now you follow the pace of the 90-day challenge, because this is going to help you
Mhm.
understand all of this concept, like end-to-end DevOps project is what we are building here. And catch up on Docker, the first mission, where how do you do is basically uh, log in to the dashboard. Once you're
Yeah.
logged into the dashboard, you will see the challenge details here itself. And if you want to follow through this, basically you can go and look at each of this component. Like, oh, if you look at this, this talks about learning some concepts. So this is a step-by-step learning. So
Okay.
learn this module, go through this. There is a quiz at the end of it. Complete that. Come back and let's say the quiz is there. Then you have another module here, and then you have a couple of exercises here. So you complete that, and you get ready
Okay.
for the second one. So you follow through this, and that will help you learn a lot of things and build that foundation for DevOps as well. And apart from this, you may want to start building, if you have more time, let's say, you can start with we are anyways completing the Docker course. So you will do that through this. So you will complete Docker, you will complete Git. There will be a small Jenkins course here. There will be AWS course. There will be Terraform, a little bit of Terraform, Kubernetes, introduction to that. So it will set you up for everything else as well, and help you build that foundation. And then apart from that, you start with the system engineering course to just start building foundation on Linux.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the things you start and focus on for this quarter. And because you will learn about AWS, Docker, and these things, and just try to dig deeper into each of these topics. And system engineering bootcamp is another thing that I would say you can start along with this whenever you have time. So this will help you build some basic foundations on Linux, which is going to be very, very important. Linux networking, a little bit of scripting, and a bit of troubleshooting as well. And those are the things you get started with. Once you have this, then you go to the next level and dig deeper into Kubernetes, a little bit more on Terraform, do some more projects, and then you should be ready for a DevOps position at that time.
Okay. Actually, in my company, they are organized some courses
Hmm.
directly with AWS, and they are asking me to do a certification called
DevOps,
Developer Associate,
developer
AWS
associate.
Developer
Okay.
Associate.
Okay.
So the goal is to keep the engineers to be
I understand.
DevSec, uh, DevSecOps. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm not sure where to join, where to start, and how the things will be.
The
So
AWS
yeah,
course
this
will help you build the
certification, yeah,
foundation. Then you'll have to prepare explicitly for the course certification. You'll have to also do some more work probably there. And as far as
okay,
DevSecOps is concerned, I would say you go through these things and then think about DevSecOps, because when you talk about DevSecOps, you need to know about foundations of CI/CD, containers,
yes,
AWS,
yeah.
and then
DevSecOps
it
is
makes
the
sense.
target goal, Gaurav, but
Correct.
they are starting from the crowd
Absolutely.
practitioner. Then I need to
True.
go to
Yeah.
developer
Yeah.
associate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so, right
So,
now I need to go through developer associate.
okay,
Uh, so
no
so for
problem.
that, will here which one I can go with? Like
AWS
which?
course will help you. So AWS course will help you, but you'll exam specific things you'll still have to take up a little bit apart from that. It will help you to build that foundation on AWS, like the five
Yeah,
important things like compute, networking, compute, database,
yeah.
storage, and security, right? And that is what we cover in that AWS course. And then exam specific thing, you still parallelly work on it as your organization is, do you have a course or something, right? That you mentioned.
Yes, every Friday they are going to
Yeah, yeah. So
conduct
you go
a
through that
session.
and you go through this
Yeah,
in parallel. And I think
yeah,
if you keep up with both things, that would be more than sufficient for you for now.
yeah.
And then
If I'm going with developer associate, so here which courses I can go with? Because if I go parallelly in both, it will be time saving, and I
AWS, we
can
have
go
only one
parallelly.
course, right? AWS, we have
Okay,
one course here on our platform, that is AWS DevOps Essentials. And that's what I mentioned, that we have five different
okay,
things there. I'm gonna refresh this in a couple of weeks from here now.
okay,
So, but this is the course where you will learn the concepts related to AWS. So AWS Cloud,
okay,
Introduction to Cloud
okay,
Computing, IAM, networking, that's part of like security networking, compute, RDS, and storage.
okay, Gaurav. So which one you are recommending me to go with that challenge, or I can go with this one, Gaurav? Which one I
I
can?
would say you go through challenge and then you side by
Okay,
side you prepare for your AWS exam also through this one.
okay,
So then instead of
okay.
system engineering, you focus on this course and then the challenge, both.
Sure, sure. Yes,
Yeah.
FD20. Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
thanks.
Perfect. Okay, folks. So I think my account has expired, so I'll have to refresh or just upgrade that again. So we have a time limit of 45 minutes now. I already have the 10-minute warning that I got about 7-8 minutes earlier. So we may have to close the call, or it may get closed again. So any other questions that you have for me in the meanwhile? At least till the call gets ended, we can take up questions if there are any. If not, I'm just refreshing or just recapping, or basically as far as the 90-day challenge is concerned, uh, just log into your dashboard, keep up or look at what is the mission that you're working on, what is the next mission, and you just follow this path right now, right? And the next thing that for you is, once you complete the containerized mission with the projects and quizzes and the lessons there, you start working on Gitofy. I will update this and I will send out an email very shortly about the recordings for this week, which are published already, along with the mission, which is also published. All the criteria to complete the mission is also been published. So I'll share that in a few minutes after this call. And that's it for this week, for folks. So next week we have a session on Git. And then we'll come back next Thursday and we'll talk about more things DevOps. And I'll share one more thing, like just like what we talked about SSH config. I'm going to start sharing one nugget or something related to that. I'm going to call it as a DevOps nugget of the week. So we'll take that up as well from next week's to so that you at least take something out of this session, some learning, new learning out of this session, which could be useful for you. That's all, folks. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week, and you have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye. And if you are in India and if you have an election voting session tomorrow, definitely go and vote. That's what I would recommend. I'm gonna definitely do that first thing in the morning because I'm in Bangalore and in this constituency, tomorrow is our election day. All right, so thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for the
Thank you.
introduction of AI.
Perfect.